Today in TSW Workshop, we're going to take a disorganized silverware drawer and go from this to this, where you have almost double the storage. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Good morning. Welcome back to TSW Workshop. Today I'm going to revamp a silverware drawer. Saw this in a condo I stayed at recently and thought it was a great idea. Then I figured I'd incorporate it into our kitchen. So I'll zoom in here and show you what we did. All right, so as you can see, I drew this up on Google SketchUp. And what I'm going to do is cut out half of the back of the silverware drawer and then create a top silverware drawer, which I'll put just on some runners so that when you pull the drawer out, if you want to access something in the bottom, you can simply push the top portion of the silverware drawer back into the cabinet and then access the silverware or whatever you have underneath. So that's the project for today. As always, you start off with the joiner to flatten one side of the wood, and then pop over to the planer to make that side parallel with the first side. So as you can see, this is actually too tall for this bandsaw. So what I'm going to do is take it over to the table saw, rip it into two pieces, and then I'll resaw it into two pieces. All right, so I ripped the board down so it's more narrow. I did put a small kerf, so that way when I'm running it through the bandsaw, I have something to follow. So I'll go ahead and resaw this, and then I'll take it over to the planer because I already have one flat area that I can run across the planer and take it down to the 1/2 inch that I need. So now I have the boards that will be the sides and the front and the back. All right, so now I have my two sides and my front and back. I have two long ones and two short ones and a divider. Dividers I'm just going to set aside. These I'm going to cut down to be 2 1/4 inches wide, because that's how tall I want the little silverware container to be. All right, next I'm going to make a dado in the bottom of each piece for the plywood bottom. And I'm just going to use the single blade rather than the dado blade since it's only 1/4 inch. All right, so now we have our sides and our front and back. The back I'm going to cut down just a little bit more after I get the piece of plywood in. But the front, I was thinking about doing a dovetail, but since it's not a really high stress area, I'm just going to put a small groove and then make a rabbet for this to fit in. Now the drawer is actually about 13 3/8, maybe just a hair under wide. So accounting for the drawer slides, that has to be 1/2 inch on each side. So what we'll do is we'll make these so it's just under like 12 3/8 inches wide. And then we're also going to cut out the back of the drawer and then sand it so it looks like nice and neat. Probably use the chisel a little bit. So that's the next steps in the process. Now on both pieces I put a little pencil mark so that way I knew I was cutting the right ends. It's very easy to cut the wrong ones. Alright, so next we're going to make some grooves so we can put a couple dividers in here. And since this is a little wider, I'm going to do it at the dado blade. Alright, so I did a couple little test fits, just made the dado the proper thickness and tested it on one of the pieces, and it's just about right. Now for the distance, I'm just going to make it probably 3/8 of an inch. The amount is really not too important. The next dado is going to be about halfway up, and that I have to measure for so I have the proper length for the silverware. Alright, so I looked on my computer and looked at my drawing, and I figured out exactly how far I want to be back from. I'm actually going to use the front as a reference edge rather than the back, since that's the more important area. Next I was going to put 2 1/4-inch dividers. I think maybe I'll just put 1, but I'm going to do that at the table saw with the single blade rather than the dado blade. Alright, so I set up a stop so that way I can do them consistently, and I'll run it through and just nibble away so that way the 1/4-inch plywood fits in there. Next, I'll have to make the vertical cuts for all of the silverware dividers in the front portion of the silverware area and the back portion of the silverware area. So, right now, these are going to be equal on both sides. So what I'll do is I'll measure that through, flip it around, and then go through there. And like I said, then nibble away to try and figure out exactly if a 1/4-inch piece fits through there. I'll need 2 inches from that. So just make sure it's +1. So we'll measure 2 inches over from there. Make a little mark. All right, so now that I have that The center area is just going to be just a little wider because that'll be the area for the knives. All right, so have the centerpiece, and what I'll do is just pop that off, and I'll make the marks where the saw blade should be for those. And after I have that trimmed, that cut, then this slides in here, and then I'll make the 1/4 inch dividers to go in there, and I'll make this the proper height. It's just a little tall right now. All right, now I had to make an extra piece because I cut the first piece just a little too short. So just grabbed another piece and slide it in there, and that way it'll be nice and rigid. And I'll cut it to the same height, or rip it to the same height. All right, so now it's really the 1/4 inch plywood and a couple of nails or staples, and then glue it up. Now the only thing left is to slide all the pieces together to make sure they fit appropriately. Good. And there we have it. Just gotta glue it all up, do a little sanding, and then cut the back of the drawer to fit it in. So the depth of the silverware drawer is about, the top silverware drawer is about 2 1/4 inches. So I'm actually gonna take, I think, 2 3/4 inches off of the back of here. All right, there we go. Back. So I took the silverware drawer, I stained it, and I had some spray lacquer, so I just sprayed it with a coat of lacquer just for a little protection. But gonna attach the soft close drawer slides, and they'll sit in the drawer this way and then extend out back into the cabinet. So I'll mount the side runners on the drawer first. I had a little glitch. I'm not sure if I caught what I was previously doing, but I installed the runners on the inside, and I used a drill bit as a spacer to keep it how far I wanted it from the front. So now I have both those installed. I just have 2 screws on each side, so I'll do a little test to see if it slides in the way it's supposed to. There we go. So good. A couple more screws and then we'll go put it back in the kitchen.